Hello, and welcome to another episode of Impact Your Fitness podcast. My name is Jennifer Schwartz, and today we are focusing on bioelectricity and where to find information on this topic as it relates to regenerative medicine and optimizing performance. This is a topic that has come up before on the podcast because it's the foundation of our work at Impact Your Fitness Studio. So just sit with these ideas and fun facts for a second about bioelectricity. So the nervous system is the carrier of electrical signals. And it's like this physical carrier of messages and information, and that your brain communicates electrically. Your muscles are like these batteries with a positive charge and a negative charge on one end. And that correlates to the motor and sensory abilities of each and every muscle. And imagine also that life itself starts with an electrical signal, and that the exploration of this type of regeneration and medicine is only a part of the vastness of our body's own electricity. It's a small part because there are reflections of how bioelectricity works in our body to how the universe works as a whole. So, anatomy, astronomy, it's all wrapped up in here. And of course, like electrical conduction. So, the idea that the nervous system is this carrier of electrical signals, very well, it's understood. It's an understood concept. There are new biological and electrical theories on how our body's intelligence works. And that is what I'm calling bioelectricity. So this bioelectrical system that we are operating with is it explains how the body regenerates and heals. So if we use these concepts in our work and Impact Your Fitness, we're going to have that explanation of why things work the way they do at our studio. We have a lot of success in reversing joint conditions, arthritic conditions, and reversing pretty much any kind of joint problem in general. And, that goes with nerve and other soft tissues as well. We have experience with, thousands of clients and our own bodies, which is, a staff of 6 at this point. So this foundation is yet to be explored on a bigger stage, except for these authors and scientists that I'm going to be sharing with you today. The goal of today's episode is to share this deeper knowledge. And in the first season of the podcast, I did talk about this and our process in a couple different episodes. One was one of the first episodes, and it's all about, I called it our new age muscle philosophy. And I introduced this concept that we're talking about right now. And, I don't need to call it a new age philosophy anymore. I just thought that was a fun name. But now it is really the foundation of how I teach our staff, and I make these methods reproducible. And I will continue to do that because our staff is growing. And, we are able to, show people how this all works with this knowledge. And so my goal today is to share these authors with you so that you can dive in yourself. Me just chatting about it and talking about it on the podcast doesn't do the same justice, it's not going to come across the same as you diving into this research and history yourself. So that is my goal, is to just share these things. So like I said, this is pioneering work, and these books are talking about the bioelectrical field and the electrical biome of our body in a broad sense. How we use it is in regenerative orthopedic medicine, and practicing this interesting way of optimizing performance. And when I say interesting, I say, what I really mean is very quick. We can help athletes that don't have big injuries very fast and get them back to the playing field in a really short amount of time. So it is a fun way to work. So here's our list. My first share is a scientist at Tufts University. His name is Michael Levin, Dr. Michael Levin. And then there is an author that has 3 books on this, and they are several years old, couple, from the 70s and 80s. And his name is Dr. Robert O. Becker. He is an orthopedic surgeon. And then a current book called The Body Electric by Sally Addy. So first, there's Michael Levin. So this is my favorite one on the list, and he's one of the most important scientists living today. I would recommend his content to those of us who want to understand the higher intelligence of our entire being and the universe itself. So, like I said, he has a lab at Tufts University. He is creating a biomedical anatomical compiler. So this would help us scale the growth of human tissues for regeneration and healing. His theories are profound and are actually being studied with different species, everything from leaves of an oak tree to cancer in humans and other animals. So, he wants all of his work is based in this idea that we have an electrical control system and that it transcripts and directs cells to build where we want to build it and what we want to build. So he is envisioning a time in medicine where we can change many incurable problems like birth defects and cancer, all by using electricity. His analogy for where we are today in biomedical sciences is that we're in like the 40s and 50s era of computing science. And so that means we do have quite a ways to go. However, we are currently using these ideas at Impact Your Fitness, and it is a thrill to see his work continue to advance. And I watch his content often. You can find his content he's all over YouTube. He's been interviewed by Lex Friedman and a couple other bigger podcasts. But his work is drmichaellevin.org. And again, like he has this big vision for curing the things that are incurable, like birth defects and cancer. But the bigger idea here is that the plasticity of all life on this planet boils down to the ability to harness electricity for healing anything and regenerating everything. And that this control system is already built inside of us, that we can trigger healing with a direct current. And like I said, this is what we practice at Impact Your Fitness. So this second recommendation is one of my favorite authors who really inspired me over a decade ago. And that's Robert O. Becker. His stuff is from the 70s and 80s. Let me see when this book was published. 1990. So a lot of his research was done in the earlier decades, obviously the 80s, but also he was an orthopedic surgeon. Okay. So currently I'm rereading this, but also The Body Electric was the first book I read of his that was truly inspirational. And I've mentioned this on the podcast. So currently I'm reviewing Cross Currents. This is one of his 3 books on electromagnetic fields and our human biology. I recommend both of these to a practitioner type, possibly my team at Impact Your Fitness, and also any neuromuscular therapist, frequency therapist, or acupuncture practitioner. His work uncovered that all animals have a direct current, an electrical current originated in the perineural cells. So those are called PN cells, and those are in the skin. So they regulate healing and growth processes. As Becker found, our tissues use semiconduction, and most people can't wrap their head around this because they're stuck in a molecular biology or mechanist mindset. And if it not being able to embrace this means you can't really appreciate how biophysics works. So as a orthopedic surgeon, he was using this to regrow bone, but he also did a lot of work with salamanders, acupuncture, measuring the DC current of homeopathy. And that's a very interesting chapter in this book. As someone who uses homeopathy, I'm very fascinated by how it all fits together. I also think this book in particular might be more for my peer, whereas the Body Electric is for a broader audience. So what I'm using this book for now is to determine how much electricity is too much and how the delivery of the electrical systems we're using now impact water in cells and how much hydrogen gets released and things you don't have to think about as a client or student. These are things I'm thinking about to advance my own technique to grow my business and grow my studio. So I would recommend the Body Electric before I recommend Cross Currents. Also, he starts talking about electropollution, and this is in 1990. So to think about how much our electromagnetic field is potentially changed from electropollution and our phones and our laptops and all the disruptants, you know, things in our field is a little overwhelming. And I do not, so, we're doing our best, but, so that's half of this book is electropollution. So I don't recommend that part for everyone, but the first part of this book is great. And the Body Electric, however, explores new pathways in the understanding of acupuncture, psychic phenomena, and healing. So I brought a quote out from this book just to display like how useful it can be for an anatomy body worker, and also what it means as on a healing axis for anyone interested in working with the nervous system and the muscles and their injuries in this different way. So, quote, mechanical stress on the bone produced a piezoelectric signal from the collagen. The signal was biphasic, switching polarity with each stress and release. The signal was rectified by the PN junction between apatite and collagen. This coherent signal did more than merely indicate that stress had occurred. Its strength told the cells how strong the stress was, and its polarity told them what direction it came from. So, end quote. That's from the Body Electric. And that really shows like the foundation of how these things are all connected. So there are crystals in our bone, and the collagen responds to the electricity and the water. That is unbelievable that that's true and that's happening in our body right now. But it's also kind of unbelievable that we aren't harnessing this in medicine already. I'll take the edge with my studio and helping people with their muscles and their injuries and their pain. But it's sad to know that this kind of healing and electrical signaling is available to us, and we're not using it on a bigger scale where it could really help people. So on to my third recommendation, third and final, is Sally Addy. I have this book electronically, but I took so many notes on this. And this is a current book. This is a couple years old. And Sally Addy, she's a very experienced and prize-winning science writer that has mostly worked in topics related to Silicon Valley. She's contributed to The Economist, the BBC, all kinds of science publications as well. And her particular interest in Silicon Valley didn't directly intersect with the bioelectricity until she was introduced to transcranial direct current stimulation. And this was to enhance the ability for people to sharpshoot, meaning a gun. and the military. So she was exposed to this through a Navy project, I believe. And she was shown directly on her own person the efficacy of the technique, and she was totally immersed in a virtual reality gun shooting setup. And her ability dramatically improved when the transcranial direct current stimulation was applied. So, and they also tested this on soldiers that had been up for 24 hours and sleep deprived. They were still able to modulate and improve their sharp shooting technique and ability with direct current stimulation. So that set off this like really amazing journey to be a journalist for the bioelectrical component of our health and the future of regenerative medicine. So it's a really well written book. It's journalistic, which those are some of my favorite like reads. It's an easy style to read. And I think anyone with an interest in science will be engaged with this book. It's not a deep, like, dive into the subject, but it references many of the sources that I've already mentioned. In particular, she sat down with Dr. Michael Levin, and I was able to be introduced to Dr. Michael Levin through this book. So I love it. And there is one other book that I would recommend, but it's more about the electromagnetic component of our emotions. And I might just save that for a different time. But these three authors, Robert O. Becker, Dr. Michael Levin, who's more of a lecture type of author and an academic author, and then Sally Hattie, who is the journalistic author. And these three I recommend for different reasons, for different populations, but all to learn about your own biology and learn about how your body is changing, how your body can be optimized with some of the methods that we use at Impact Your Fitness. The other thing I want to keep in mind as I'm teaching this stuff is that I'd also like to teach our clients and my team how to have an open circuit of thinking and how that comes from the nervous system being able to differentiate between calm and focus and being, very high drive, stressed focused. So when we are able to be more open and dialed into being open to feedback, so I call this open circuit thinking, we can have better intuition, and our muscles and our body just recover better. We'll be able to sleep better. So I always remind anyone working with technology, especially the direct current technology, that your body will be able to receive better if it's ready to do so. So when you are calm and focused and rested and hydrated, that is the way to really start with this type of regenerative medicine. Going to a doctor and receiving regenerative medicine, but not understanding that your body needs a certain level of calm and receptivity to even really gain from this type of medicine is a big missing factor in the common, uncommon model of orthopedics. So take it a step further. If you're not able to work with us in Alexandria, Virginia, but are using regenerative medicine like PRP and transdermal, transcranial, direct current stimulation, please keep in mind that your body has to be able to receive, and your nervous system has to be tuned in to the frequency of getting better, healing, and recovering. So those are my basically my 4 recommendations for today and for this episode. I hope you enjoy this content. And if you do, please subscribe, comment, review, all those things, and let us know how you think and feel and what questions you have about this content. I'm happy to continue the conversation, of course, over at on Instagram at Jennifer Simone Schwartz, and, on the studio website, always contact us at impactyourfitness.net.